although I'm not quite as addicted to them as some people, I do really love the Pitch Perfect films. Certainly the first one I thought was amazing, quite unique, really innovative. The second one, as a sequel, I thought worked really well. Often sequels are not as good as the originals. I think this one's probably almost as good. It's not quite as entertaining because, to be honest, there's not a lot of new element in it. It's very much the same kind of setup, but we have a bit more character development going on here, and obviously a different soundtrack. That's what makes it different. And because this is a musical, having a different soundtrack obviously makes it different to the first film. But as for the narrative, not really that different. So the sequel was released in 2015, directed by Elizabeth Banks, written by Kay Cannon, and stars the same fantastic cast as the original, some new people, and Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson. I have to say, Fat Amy is one of just my favourite characters ever. She's just so brilliant, and I think this was my introduction to Rebel Wilson. I'm not 100% confident on that. Well, the first Pitch Perfect film, of course, not the second, but I think the Pitch Perfect films were. And with this film, they have the Bellas, the Barden Bellas, have an international competition in their grasp, and apparently no American group had ever won this a cappella competition before. So they decide to put a pretty humiliating experience behind them and, go full steam ahead at trying to win this competition. I think there's a lot more at stake here than there was in the first film, so I think maybe it's a bit more intense. And because we're already comfortable with the majority of the characters, we can enjoy their development. There's a little bit more drama. So it's not identical to the first film, but it's got all of the hallmarks of the first film that made it popular and successful. And I think that's why it works well as a sequel. In terms of the soundtrack, I've got no complaints. I'm not going to go into it too much because there are a lot of songs that they cover. I think the remixes are absolutely brilliant. I think, obviously, vocally they're fantastic. The choreography is brilliant. Wrecking Ball is a brilliant song. I don't think there are any songs in this that are my personal favourites. They never really cover songs that I love because the songs that I love are not really that popular, I'll be honest. But they're still really enjoyable. Everything about the performance is great. Very, very talented cast. I have no complaints about it. It's the third one. I won't obviously say too much about the third one here, but I think the third one maybe it was starting to run a little bit thin by the third one. I'm not saying the third one wasn't good. I just think they didn't really have many new tricks up their sleeve. But thankfully, although the sequel is very similar to the first one, they do take it up a notch. I think the choreography is more intense. I think they've played a few more risks with the songs and the way they've mashed them together, and I think it works very well. Obviously, not as unique as the first one, but I really like it. And apparently, it was more financially successful than the first film, and according to Wikipedia, became the highest grossing musical comedy film of all time, overtaking School of Rock. I have to say School of Rock is pretty brilliant. I really like School of Rock. But Pitch Perfect 2, I really like it. I like the character development. I still think Beca and Fat Amy are my two favourite characters. But, everybody's great, and I like the fact that they're all quite different with different backgrounds. I can't complain, really. It's good. Not amazing, not perfect. Definitely better than the third one. Just slightly not as good as the first one, but still a pretty worthy sequel.